this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Let me be blunt. Most dog food is junk. It just is. And I'm not feeding junk to Biggie and Smalls. That is why they eat Just Food for Dogs. It's real, 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize, not mystery pellets pretending to be healthy. And once I switched, the difference was obvious. Better digestion, better skin, more energy, dogs who actually feel good instead of just surviving dinner. Here's the thing. You care about quality. You make an intentional choice to be healthy. So why are you gambling with your dog's health? So let's think about our furry babies. Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code, just try it. Because once you see the difference, you're not going back.
Time for a sofa upgrade? Introducing Anabay Sofas, where designer style meets budget-friendly prices. Anabay brings you the ultimate in furniture innovation with a modular design that allows you to rearrange your space effortlessly. Perfect for both small and large spaces, Anabay is the only machine-washable sofa inside and out. Say goodbye to stains and messes with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics that make cleaning easy. Liquids simply slide right off. Designed for custom comfort, our high-resilience foam lets you choose between a sink-in feel or a supportive memory foam blend. Plus, our pet-friendly, stain-resistant fabrics ensure your sofa stays beautiful for years. Don't compromise quality for price. Visit washablesofas.com to upgrade your living space today. Sofas start at just $699 with no risk returns and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get up to 60% off plus free shipping and free returns. Shop now at washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation. One-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Behind the Bastards, the show where we tell you everything you don't know about the very worst people in all of history. Now, on this show, I read a story about someone terrible to a guest who is coming in cold, and this week, my guest is Blake Wexler, stand-up comedian. You just had an album drop called Stuffed Boy. Mm-hmm. I got Stuffed Boy.
You nailed the Stuffed Boy.
Nailed it. Excellent, yes. Excellent. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I love this idea. It's so cool.
Well, you don't know who we're talking about today.
No.
Does the name Rodrigo Duterte mean anything to you?
It does not, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Well,
this is good.
Fantastic. I just took a sip of something that's not Doritos, so I'm not going to give them a free ad. But you did just see me wolf down a significant chunk of a bag before we got into this. So
you liquefied it with your mouth.
I'm fired up, and I'm ready to get into this. So let us start an episode that I'm right now calling Rodrigo Duterte, the mayor of Murder Town. This is part one.
He's a politician then.
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Oh,
very successful politician.
Excellent title.
Currently the president of the Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah, so early on in his presidency, Donald Trump congratulated Rodrigo Duterte, president of the Philippines, for doing a, quote, unbelievable job on the drug problem. In February of 2018, a senior administration official said this to the website Axios. Quote, he, Trump, often jokes about killing drug dealers. He'll say, you know, the Chinese and Filipinos don't have a drug problem. They just kill them. Interestingly enough, large parts of both of those statements are accurate. It would be fair to call Duterte's drug war in the Philippines unbelievable. In the last 2 years, 118,287 drug users or dealers have been arrested, and 1.3 million drug users have turned themselves into the authorities. More than 20,000 people, many of them children, have been killed. Virtually all of them were murdered, often by masked men on motorcycles. This carnage was all explicitly promised to the people of the Philippines when they voted for Rodrigo Duterte. He's been fairly open about his desire to murder drug addicts, mostly users of shabu or methamphetamine. In September of 2016, President Duterte said this: "If Germany had Hitler, the Philippines would have," and then he pointed at himself and continued, "Hitler massacred 3 million Jews. There's 3 million drug addicts. I'd be happy to slaughter them." So, that's who we're talking about today.
Yeah.
A guy who became president promising to kill 3% of the country.
And so far, he's kept his promise.
He has
say
killed
what you will.
a lot of them. Yeah.
The guy will deliver on a promise.
Now, I think he had promised to have killed a lot more by this point. So you could argue that every politician, they bend it a little bit.
Thank you.
He promised something like 60,000 in 6 months or whatever, and he hasn't made that much. But
how do you make up for that? We need more masked men. Well, we ran out of masks, so we can't.
Have you seen the mask shortage lately? There's just nothing left on the shelves.
People stop using drugs. Now we just have to kill regular people.
We're just murdering people,
right.
Which they are. They also are killing petty criminals. Pickpockets and stuff are also getting shot dead by murder squads.
Like petty criminals in that, like they're passive aggressive and like they like to, or whatever.
you interpreted that sentence differently than it usually is. Just major criminals who are really, really passive aggressive.
Yes, exactly.
No, that's not what's happening.
Okay, that's fair.
They're just murdering poor people.
Oh, that's bad then.
It's really terrible.
Right.
So President Duterte's drug war in the Philippines is now the greatest mass slaughter of civilians in Asia since the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. Jesus. But much of the death caused by the Khmer Rouge was accidental due to their insane and patently idiotic social experiments. What's happening in the Philippines is entirely intentional, directed by a single man. So how did a man like Rodrigo Duterte come to be, and how did Filipino democracy allow for his rise to power? You ready for a history lesson?
I'm very ready. Here's a quick, is Manny Pacquiao in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Does he come into the story?
He's a member of Congress and a supporter of Duterte.
Right. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't play a big role in this, but he actually is, like, very politically active and a supporter of the mayor's murder people agenda. Yeah.
God, that guy just gets worse and worse press just over and over again. He's a homophobe, not good at boxing anymore, and he supports a murderer. All right, anyway, was wondering.
Mass murderer.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Don't you dare take the mass away.
Don't undercut this man's accomplishments.
He earned that title.
He did. Yes, he did.
Yes, he did, and yes, he can have people shot in the streets.
That was his campaign slogan, by the way. Yes,
we can shoot pickpockets. Yes, we can accidentally gun down children off of motorcycle back because it's hard to hit drug addicts when you're shooting at them from a motorcycle. It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Accidents are going to happen. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
That's a really good way to look at gunning down people in the street.
Yeah, I've been saying it for years in regards to that issue.
I think American police could adopt that as a motto, too.
They definitely could.
Mm-hmm. Especially when they're... Well, I mean, we all live in Los Angeles. We were all there for the... That's outside of the point, the police firing at a Trader Joe's. But...
Oh, my God. Yeah. Yeah.
You do get a lot of cases like that in the Philippines right now because there's just essentially guys on motorcycles roaming around killing people who have been... The government has put on a list as drug pushers or whatever, and they're just kind of firing into crowds and stuff a lot of the time.
Do they have a cool name?
Yeah, actually they do.
I figured they'd have to, right?
Yeah, we'll get into that.
All right, cool.
There is a cool
ahead.
name. Yeah, no, for sure. They even have like a patch and stuff. It's pretty sweet.
Okay, good.
All right, so let's get in some history so we can understand sort of the context that Duterte came to power in. So Spain was the first colonial power to take control in the Philippines. Their rule there sort of began in the 1520s when Ferdinand Magellan successfully planted some flags and then got murdered. Spanish domination nonetheless spread across the island chain, and for the next 300 and something years, they would be the dominant power in the archipelago. Spain brought many things to the Philippines, including the Catholic faith. This would prove to be a decidedly mixed bag, but that's coming in a little bit. So, by the late 1800s, Spanish power had started to fade. In 1896, self-declared President Emilio Aguinaldo led a local insurrection against Spain. By the time the Spanish-American War kicked off and U.S. forces reached the Philippines, Aguinaldo had conquered basically everything in the Philippines but the capital of Manila. So the Filipino rebels worked with the U.S. Navy to encircle the city, but the U.S. refused direct support until her troops were able to land and replace the Filipinos around Manila. See, the U.S. was actually communicating directly with Spain during this whole time because even though we were actively at war with them and fighting alongside the insurgents trying to cast off Spanish control, we still considered Spain the rightful government of the Philippines. The fact that the Filipino people had actually already picked a president and fought and bled for a new government didn't really matter to us. So we sat down and we worked out a deal with the Spanish garrison commander. He agreed to surrender under the condition that the U.S. make it look like there'd been a battle. So he was like, I'll surrender this city, but you got to pretend that we fought for it.
But people have to die in this surrender.
Well, I don't think anybody died in the fighting. It was like a staged battle where they were just kind of like shooting so it looked like, okay, we didn't just surrender Manila.
It's like when you're kids, you just bang your swords together, when you're fighting with fake swords. That, by the way, I was assuming that we've all had sword fights as children but it's not an actual stabbing motion. You're just hitting. Yeah, I would love to watch a fake battle.
Yeah, it seems like it could have been a lot of fun. Yeah, so there were other conditions to the surrender. No Filipino rebels could be allowed inside the city. So on August 13th, 1898, the fake Battle of Manila was fake fought, and Americans took the city. Now, you might think that helping a captive people throw off the chains of colonial bondage would have been the U.S.'s thing, what with that being our history. But President William McKinley felt differently. He decided to annex the islands in order to better, quote, educate the Filipinos and uplift them and Christianize them. He did not believe that they were capable of governing themselves. The Treaty of Paris, which ended the Spanish-American War, gave the U.S. the option of buying the Philippines for $20 million. By January of 1899, they were ours.
Deal.
Yeah.
Was he assassinated, McKinley?
He sure was.
Okay,
he was shot dead by an anarchist and kind of had it coming. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Fuck William McKinley. Kind of a dick.
Yeah.
So, as you might have guessed, the Army of Free People who had just liberated themselves from a colonial oppressor were not happy with having another colonial oppressor land on top of them. In February, Aguinaldo and his army attacked the United States forces. Conventional warfare was not successful for the Philippine rebels, what with the machine guns and such. So the Filipino army turned into the Filipino insurgency in November of 1899. The U.S. Army proved profoundly ill-suited to guerrilla warfare, which is something that's never happened again in our history.
Right,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, no.
That was the first and last time.
Last time.
Yeah, it's the uniforms. They're not breathable. You can't wear them in a jungle.
No, and once we figured out Under Armour, we really had counterinsurgency down.
Yes.
That was the key, it turned out.
100%.
Camelbacks. Yeah.
It was a hydration issue.
Yeah, it was a hydration issue. That was the problem. So, after about a year of fighting, Major General Arthur MacArthur took over the U.S. forces and declared martial law over the entire Philippine archipelago. He enacted General Order 100, which was an old Civil War directive that allowed the army to execute ununiformed combatants and their supporters. The goal was to isolate the guerrillas, and that's exactly what happened. Aguinaldo was captured in March of 1901. Now, at that point, things degenerated into severe ugliness. General Franklin Bell forced 300,000 Filipino civilians onto concentration camps, where a good number of them died of disease. In August of 1901, there was a machete attack that wiped out most of an American garrison on an island called Samar.
Jesus.
The U.S. Army responded by massacring every man above the age of 10, which you may note included a lot of children.
You've never heard the phrase, I saw this 11-year-old man the other day. Wait, what? An 11-year-old man?
Just checking on birth. Okay, he's 10, but this son's a hard 11. Like, you get him in the killing truck.
Yeah. There was a group of 12-year-old men yelling at me.
Yeah. I mean, this was a different time. People died of cholera when they were 14, usually, I guess, but still seems a little bit harsh.
Yeah. The average age of retirement, by the way, back then, 14.
Yeah, we did make the general who carried out the massacre retire, so that's a version of justice.
It really is.
A shade of justice, yeah. By February of 1902, the insurgency finally ran out of steam. President Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, the bully guy, declared victory on the 4th of July, 1902. They actually extended the length of the war so that he could declare victory on the 4th of July. Yeah, that's a very Teddy Roosevelt thing to do.
A true equestrian thing
What's a few more days of war? July 4th. We'll save so much money on fireworks.
Let's do this right.
Yeah. In total, 4,234 Americans died during the fighting, along with 20,000 Filipino insurgents and 200,000 civilians. So, it was a bad time.
Yeah.
Bad time all around. Except for a 3-year occupation by the Japanese, the Philippines remained in U.S. control until 1946, when we gave the country back to itself and helped them build a wonderful democracy in our image. From 1950 to 1965, this worked pretty well. Average economic growth was higher in the Philippines than it was anywhere else in Southeast Asia. So, a little bit of a rough start, couple of 100,000 dead,
Yeah.
Not a great start.
Right, but you can move on.
And by the 50s, you're making bank.
Yeah, we use them as a base.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yes.
We use the shit out of them as a base.
Oh, man.
We park some planes on that fucking rock.
Boats, all the damn boats. Aircraft carriers going left and right. U.S. soldiers getting real drunk in Manila.
Oh, my God.
I mean, how many generations of now elderly Americans got their tattoos in Manila in that period?
I would love to,
Thousands.
if we can get that stat, that exact stat.
Yeah. How many staph infections from the tattoos they
Right.
got? Yeah.
Identical amount, by the way. It's the same number.
It's the same number, 100%.
Yeah.
Rodrigo Roa Duterte was born right on the cusp of this period on March 28th, 1945, so right before the Philippines gets its independence. So like many Filipinos, he grew up Catholic, which I said before has been kind of a mixed bag for the people of the Philippines.
For the people of the United States as well, it has been
really the world.
For people.
Yeah, really for everybody.
Right.
In 2002, Archbishop Orlando Quivado, president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference, admitted that 200 of the 7,000 priests in the Philippines may have committed sexual misconduct over a 20-year period. I'm going to guess this means that actual abuse of Filipino children by Catholic priests goes back further than 20 years, probably to the beginning of Catholicism in the Philippines. One of the presumably many Filipino children molested by Catholic priests during this time was a 14-year-old schoolboy named Rodrigo Duterte. Shortly after taking office, he called Pope Francis a son of a whore due to a traffic thing that the Pope had caused. And when this caused something of an out... the Pope
the most relatable thing this guy's probably... the only relatable thing, defensible thing that he's done is get pissed off at traffic.
Pissed off at traffic and calling the Pope the son of a whore.
Son of a whore.
This created something of an outrage, and Duterte sort of talked... Because most of the Filipino people are Catholic.
Right.
And so Duterte sort of tried to walk this back by claiming that he'd been abused by an American Jesuit priest, Father Mark Falvey, in 1959 when he was 14. Duterte said, quote, "It was a case of fondling. You know what he did during confession. That's how we lost our innocence early." Duterte claimed he was too afraid to file a complaint at the time, but he claims that Falvey abused several other boys as well, and this is very likely true. Falvey returned to the United States, I think in the mid-50s, after his time with Duterte and his classmates, and set up shop on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, California, and was there for a couple of decades and allegedly abused a number of children in the United States, although none of this came out until he was already dead.
Right. It's interesting that this guy is such a pile of shit that even someone who speaks out about his personal, being sexually abused is still not a sympathetic character in this,
I mean, there's a claim to be made that maybe this guy's a worse person. This may have contributed to some of why he is the way he is. It certainly couldn't have helped, No,
I would, right.
It certainly didn't make him a kinder person.
This was not a positive thing.
He has a major anti-Catholic bias, and currently with all of the fucked up stuff his government's doing, the Catholic Church is fighting back against it, which in this case I think they're right to be fighting against murdering people in the street, but also he's got a real good reason to be angry at the Catholic Church.
Yeah. What a mess.
Yeah, it is a real mess. So obviously, it's hard to say how this abuse impacted adult President Duterte, but it undoubtedly had an impact on him as a child. He repeatedly got in trouble for acting up in school. On one occasion, he got in trouble for shooting rocks at a priest with a homemade catapult. Now, it is possible that the writer who related this story meant
a slingshot.
A slingshot.
Yeah.
I didn't check up on that to see if that's slang because I want to believe that he fashioned a crude catapult.
A trebuchet.
Yeah, a trebuchet. That's.
Imagine walking down. What the fuck is that? Oh my! You have to have a team as well.
You have to have a team, and you have to be very good at whittling.
That is a very funny word confusion.
Yeah, I choose to believe that it was a catapult.
Right.
He also got in trouble for shooting at a priest who was in an all-white outfit, some weird priest outfit with a water gun filled with ink. He would know.
Well, that was after Labor Day in his defense.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute. This is fun so far.
Of course.
He was known to go truant for months at a time, and of course, all of his acting out was punished brutally. Rodrigo's mother, Soledad Roa Gonzalez, was a harsh disciplinarian. She would flog him brutally for his misbehavior, like whipping him in the back and stuff. She was also a teacher known for forcing her students to stand out in the tropical sun for long periods of time when they misbehaved. So,
Jesus.
He's got a rough childhood in a lot of ways. He's also kind of a privileged kid in a lot of ways because Rodrigo's father was Vincent Duterte, a prominent politician who became the governor of the Davao province. Now, Rodrigo and his 3 siblings grew up with a private cook, a driver, a boy, which I don't know. That's how he's described, as a boy. So I assume that's like a little gopher or a runner or something, but
just a kid in the house.
Just a child that we basically own.
Right. That is a rich thing to have. Yes, no, we, I was born with only 1 boy, but I've worked my ass off, and now we have 6 boys.
6 boys.
Yeah, in the house.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh, boy.
There we go.
He also had several bodyguards. Rodrigo was even given a bodyguard of his own, and since his parents were too busy to talk to him a lot of the time, the bodyguards who took care of Rodrigo did a lot of the raising. Now, this next quote comes from a book called Rodrigo Duterte, Fire and Fury in the Philippines by Jonathan Miller, a British foreign correspondent who spent years and years living in and reporting on Philippine politics. Quote, "He adopted the persona of a bugoy, the term for hoodlum in his local Bisaya language. He developed what was to become a lifelong obsession with guns. He drank and smoked and slept around. Often he didn't come home at all, and if he did, he'd slip in at 4 a.m. He became increasingly nocturnal and remains so to this day. He holds press conferences that begin at 1 a.m. He appears groggy when he has to attend a morning function." Now, this is not that Duterte is a dictator, because he's not quite yet, but this is a thing that you will run into in dictators all throughout history, is they are all night owls. Like Hitler, Stalin, Gaddafi, Saddam, the list goes on and on and on. Like, they all are famous for staying up really, really late and usually have trouble getting up in the morning. They often are, like, watching movies late into the night and stuff. Like, it's just kind of a dictator trope.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess it makes sense, because, like, I don't need all, like, the sun. Just anything, not a lot of positive things happen at night after you get past a certain period of night. It's like, no, I need to be up at 4 for all the wonderful things that happen at 4 a.m.
Oh, no. See,
it's very isolating, or are you like that?
I am like that.
I
am like that. But I think that there's probably, like, a reason. If you're the kind of person who is awake more often at night than you are in the day, you have a different perspective than everybody else does. And that's useful in a lot of things, but one thing it may be useful in is if you're trying to, like, manipulate a political structure, maybe having that different perspective on things helps you do that. Maybe the fact that these guys don't live in the same world as everyone else allows them to manipulate it better. I don't know.
No, that makes sense. They wake up like, why do these bats have feathers? They just don't understand.
The day bats!
These day bats.
These damn day bats.
Somebody get my boy to get rid of these day bats.
Well, that's the boy's job. You found it. That's his job.
That's his job.
Getting rid of the day bats. What a lark.
Yeah.
So, Miller, the guy I just quoted who wrote Fire and Fury in the Philippines, that's a major source for this episode. It's the first, I think, biography of Duterte that's been published, at least for like a world audience so far. And it has a very clear anti-Duterte bias. But the journalist writing it also has spent a lot of time talking to Rodrigo in person and a lot of figures in his life, his sisters and like other family members, people who knew him as kids. So the book is pretty indispensable, even though it does have a clear bias. He got a number of anecdotes about young Rodrigo. One of them from his sister Jocelyn was about how when he was a teenager, Rodrigo would scare off her wannabe boyfriends by when they would come over to the house waving a gun at them.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it. Yeah. So this is what he's doing is 14 or so.
Right.
Jesus. Now, in 1965, when Duterte was 20, Ferdinand Marcos was elected president of the Philippines. Do you know much about Marcos?
I don't, actually.
He was not a nice guy.
No.
It just so happens that this was at a time when the economy had started to level off. So Marcos comes to power in a time when sort of this 15-year boom is coming to an end and starting to reverse a little. And with less money coming in, the problems inherent in the system that the Philippines had inherited from the United States became more evident. I'm going to quote from The Rise and Fall of Ferdinand Marcos from the University of California Press. Quote, "The U.S.-style judicial system, with an adversary process that emasculated the poor and complex procedures that endlessly delayed decisions, could not cope with injustice and crime." That doesn't sound familiar at all.
Yeah. That sounds old.
"Private weapons were more widespread than in any country." That doesn't sound familiar either. "And it was common for cars to be stopped and robbed in daylight on major streets. The democratic patronage system inhibited removal of corruption and incompetent civil leaders. Democracy directly inhibited measures designed to ameliorate some of the world's worst social inequality. A Congress of elected landlords dragged its feet in passing land reform legislation and then funding it. A series of presidents who were landholders, including Ferdinand Marcos, initially refused to spend land reform funds. The landholders' lawyers defeated the valid claims of peasants who could afford no lawyers and exploited the complexity of U.S.-style court procedures to delay adverse judgments for a decade or more." So basically, they handed the Philippines essentially the same sort of political system the U.S. has, but the Philippines did not have, one of the things that we have as a buffer against the very rich, or at least we used to have, was a very large middle class. And so these people could get in court and could make their cases heard. And, it's still stacked against them, but they had more political power.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't just very poor people and then very rich people, which is what the Philippines inherited. So the problems that are becoming more obvious of our system now in a time of increasing inequality in the United States were started to tear apart the Filipino national unity, in the 1960s.
Right.
So that's essentially what's happening.
Yeah, it was a fast-forward version of America.
Yeah,
yeah. Now they've passed us. Like, that's future.
They skipped right to the end.
Right,
so,
right.
We're going to get to the rest of Marcos's term and what Rodrigo Duterte gets up to during that period of time, and then his election as mayor of a city where he'll murder people. That's what he does.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But first, something that won't murder you.
Oh.
Ads.
For period protection you can put on and forget about, nothing beats Knix leak-proof underwear. North America's #1 leak-proof underwear brand. Let's face it, life can be unpredictable, but your leak-proof underwear shouldn't be. That's why millions of people choose Knix. For periods, for light leaks, for everyday freshness. Knix undies are super comfy, super absorbent, and made to handle whatever your day throws at you. Day 2 of your period? Covered. Your daily run? No problem. That big sneeze? You know the one. Yep, we've got you. And with styles like bikinis, boy shorts, thongs, and high-rise, plus sizes from extra small to 4XL, Knix makes it easy to find your perfect fit. Say goodbye to stress and leaks and say hello to undies that work just as hard as you do, no matter the leak. Find the style and level of protection you want at Knix.com and use code FLOW15 for 15% off. That's KNIX.com, code FLOW15 for 15% off. Knix, for your leaks, for your life.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Most dog food is marketing, not nutrition. That is why Biggie and Smalls eat just food for dogs, real 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize. And yes, I do see the difference. Better digestion, healthier skin, more energy, dogs that feel better, my babies. If you've been on the fence about switching, stop overthinking it. What's more important than your furry babies and their health? Go to justfoodfordogs sofa.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code needed. Just try it.
Kids, pets, life, your sofa sees it all. But with a washable sofa, stains don't stand a chance. All of our sofa collections come with fully machine washable covers and cushions, making cleanup effortless. Liquid and stain-resistant fabrics provide extra protection against everyday messes. Plus, with modular designs, you can rearrange your sofa however you like. Perfect for growing families and changing spaces. Starting at just $699, it's time to upgrade to a stress-free, mess-proof sofa. Visit washablesofas.com today and save. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
And we're back. We're talking about Rodrigo Duterte and, we're talking about Ferdinand Marcos, who just became president of the Philippines, and we're going to talk about that and what Duterte's life was like.
In the narrative of this podcast.
In the narrative.
We're not breaking news. He's not back.
No. If this is news to you, you should read a little bit.
Why is this the first thing that you listen to after coming out of your coma?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Shit. What else?
A dictator in the Philippines.
I'm going back to sleep.
When I fell asleep in 1965, the economy was on fire. So, by the time Marcos's third term comes to an end, the Philippines is riddled with both, increasing economic problems and also a lot more protesting and a lot of unrest. Many people in the Philippines wanted to become a U.S. state rather than chart an independent course because they kind of had that right. They were like, you can do your thing for a while, but like there'll be ways you could potentially be a state if you wanted to. And so there were a lot of people who were like, well, I mean, they look at them. They got all the money and nukes. Let's just be part of that. And then there were a lot of people being like, no, let's do our own thing. Marcos, being a nationalist, decides he wants to take over and take more direct power over the country. So he engineers a constitutional convention, which included a lot of reforms and was meant to transition the country away from U.S.-style democracy and towards a different system with like a prime minister that was supposed to fit better and, have less of the inequalities. The major sticking point came down to the fact that there had to be an interim period between these two constitutions. And during this interim period, the head of state, Marcos, would occupy the offices of president and prime minister simultaneously. So there was a debate over how long this interim period was going to be. Most people, you'd say, okay, maybe a couple of days while we, do this thing. He wanted it to be indefinitely long. And
I can see why he would want that.
You can see why someone might want that. Mm-hmm. So he instituted a scheme that sounds kind of like an InfoWars conspiracy theory. I'm going to quote again from The Rise and Fall of Ferdinand Marcos. One by one, the delegates to the convention were summoned by Intelligence Chief General Ver, who reviewed with them their various failures to pay taxes, occasions on which their security guards had killed people under dubious circumstances, and other misdeeds which, according to the general, the judicial system would of course have to confront, unless the delegates saw fit to serve their nation by voting appropriately on the duration of the interim period. The cream of the national political elite proved extraordinarily vulnerable to personal pressures and frequently valid accusations of felony. So basically, everybody in power was so corrupt that when Marcos was like, I'll investigate you just a little bit if you don't vote with this, they were like, oh God, all my crimes.
There is a lot to find.
They'll learn where all the boys are buried.
All you need is a little bit, and our whole career will come crashing down.
Yeah, and that was apparently everybody in Congress.
Right.
So, I mean, we laugh, but
that's
just politics, baby. So Marcos got their longer interim period, and during that period, Marcos's government carried out a false flag attack on itself by shooting up the Minister of Defense's empty Mercedes-Benz. This was announced as a communist assassination attempt. The government also blew up several power pylons around Manila and blamed this as well on the commies. They used the terror attacks that the government itself had carried out to justify implementing martial law in 1972. So this is the second time in our story martial law has been declared in the Philippines. They're kind of getting used to it at this point.
It's a great kind of law.
If you're going to have a law, let it be martial.
Of course.
I've always said that.
Yeah. No, I went to law school, and with an emphasis on martial law. And it hasn't really come up yet. I've really been out of work for quite some time.
See, what I'm imagining when I think of how that could be positive is just the instructor from the Karate Kid.
Right.
Just him enforcing all of the laws, which would legitimately be a better system than we have.
Or like the retail chain that's their law, where there's just clothes.
Marshall's law.
Marshall's law,
where it's just like...
You just throw clothes on the ground and people buy them.
no one else would sell.
Right, exactly. I guess that's a positive spin on it. That might be worse, actually.
I mean, Marshall's law, if it's just law by the most discounted, that might be what we have right now.
Right.
Oh, boy. I should go to Marshall's. I need a torn yoga mat.
I need a mug with the handle broken off of it.
And a partially opened bag of chips.
Yes.
Marshalls.
We have it. Probably. There's no inventory system whatsoever.
There's no way to know what we have.
Right.
Coming here and checking it out.
But we do have shelves with things on them.
Oh, Marshall's really taking some hits.
Yeah, good.
Today.
It's about time. Part of the TJ Maxx lobby.
Yeah. So, Marcos declares martial law, justifying that they've got to fight the communists, even though there were only about 800 communist insurgents in the entire Philippines at that point. But, you're never going to let the facts get in the middle of a good martial law bench. So around this time, Duterte had finished college and law school. His bar exam was delayed because of the military takeover of the country, which... good reason to delay a test.
Yeah.
Rodrigo actually wound up missing his graduation ceremony for a completely different reason. He had ambushed and shot one of his fellow students to teach him a lesson. Well, the guy had mocked him for being from the South, and so Duterte had ambushed him and shot him, I think several times, but the guy did survive. So
that is an institution of higher learning. That is how you teach a lesson. Yeah,
all right.
Taught him a
we'll
lesson.
let you be a lawyer, but you don't get to come to graduation because you shot somebody.
Fine.
Yeah, that's a fair punishment.
Fucking rules.
Yeah. So, Marcos ruled into the late 1980s. While the CIA had backed his rivals at first, they eventually came around to the old lug and his communist slaughtering ways. He and his wife, who stole an estimated $10 billion from the Philippines, enjoyed the strong support of the Reagan administration. The New York Times says that Ronald, quote, genuinely cherished Ferdinand and his wife Imelda. Quote, in 1969, Governor and Miss Reagan visited Manila, where Imelda's opulent parties dazzled them. From then on, Reagan, impressed by Marcos's exaggerated stories of his exploits as an anti-Japanese guerrilla, counted him among the world's freedom fighters in the struggle against communism. In Reagan's eyes, one of his aides mused later, Marcos was, quote, a hero on a bubblegum card he had collected as a kid. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of deck do those cards come in, by the way?
Oh.
the fucking communist
the Reagan
murdering.
bubblegum cards?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Who else would be on those cards? Like, of communist killers?
Joseph McCarthy's
of
probably
course.
on there
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Hitler?
Hitler? Yeah, we can throw him on there,
Hitler
probably.
killed some communists, that's for sure.
A rookie Hitler card?
A rookie Hitler card? Where he's just got his bullwhip and his shorts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Wonder what a Hitler rookie card's worth these days.
Hundreds.
Yeah. So, one of the other people who helped out Marcos during sort of the late 80s when he was having increasing trouble over all of the people he was torturing tens of thousands of people.
Mm-hmm. How many years, is this into his indefinite
like 20 years. He ruled about 20 some years.
Right.
Well, I mean, he only had about 14 years of martial law from 72 to 86. And during a good chunk of that, one of the people who represented him to the United States, who tried to help get him additional funds from the government, was a little fellow you might know called Paul Manafort. Mm-hmm. And in fact, one of Manafort's employees flew with Marcos when he fled the mob that was taking over his palace and went to Hawaii to go die. One of Manafort's employees flew with him on that flight. So that's nice to know.
Yeah.
The Marcos regime proved unpopular. They only held on to power through the application of brutal martial law. More than 3,200 people were executed during his time in power, and more than 34,000 were tortured. Victims included student activists like the 23-year-old Lily Halau, who edited a student newspaper critical of the Marcos regime. She was forced to commit suicide by drinking muriatic acid. Yeah, it's dark.
Is that suicide?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because she was she was tortured and assaulted a bunch until she...
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Semantics.
Yeah. During this period of martial law, a new drug entered use in the Philippines. We know it as methamphetamine. Now, prior to Spanish colonization, the Filipino people had a fairly mild drug culture. I think betel nut was one of the big things they'd use. I think marijuana was around, but it wasn't super common.
If you say betel nut 3 times, it appears, just so you know.
That's just the juice.
Oh, fuck. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
which
embarrassed.
is, I think, what you spit out when you've been chewing it a lot.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm a square. I don't know.
So prior to Spanish colonization, they'd had a fairly minor drug culture with no evidence of serious addiction to anything. Opium got to the Philippines during the Spanish colonial period because the East India Company would essentially drop it off during their trading. But the Philippines would not have a real drug crisis until meth got its grips on the new nation. I found one account from a Filipino writer who claims that he first became aware of the drug in 1981. Quote, a neighbor excitedly asked, "Have you heard about the new drug in town called Japanese Coke?" It was called Japanese because the way they smoked it reminded people of a Japanese hot pot style dish, which they called a shabu-shabu dish. So meth acquired the local name shabu, and by the mid-1980s, it had grown quite popular among a certain set, although it was still fairly expensive at this point. So Ferdinand Marcos was forced out of office in 1986 by the People Power Revolution. The new president, Corazon Aquino, made Rodrigo Duterte the acting vice mayor of Davao City, the most populous city on the island of Mindanao, and the third most populous city in the whole Philippines. In 1988, he ran for election and won as mayor. Now, by this point, Davao City was one of the most violent cities in the Philippines. Duterte was elected as a law and order candidate. He promised to stop street crime, combat the use of shabu and other drugs, and he was pretty straight away a strict mayor. He instituted a series of pretty harsh laws, including fines for jaywalking, a 10 p.m. curfew for all children, a 9 p.m. ban on karaoke, a ban on firecrackers, and a massive reduction in speed limits. Rodrigo was known to patrol the streets himself on his own Harley-Davidson motorcycle, observing traffic and looking out for rule breakers. So he's a hands-on kind of mayor. You know?
Yeah, feet to the pedal, feet on the ground. And by the way, the 10 o'clock curfew for children, by the way, it was just people 4 years old and younger.
Yeah, no. I mean, well, no, you're before you're an adult.
Right.
Yeah,
of course. These 9-year-old adults can do whatever the hell they want. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they'd better be getting to work at the factory.
Probably.
Yeah.
Right.
A factory that builds factories for smaller children to work in. Anyway,
yes.
I don't actually know if that's a...
It's a big part of the economy.
Yeah, we're still just riffing on U.S. policy from 1901 here.
Right.
Yeah. So depending on your attitude towards jaywalking and karaoke, that may sound reasonable. And in fact, I support an earlier curfew on anyone under 18. I think they should be allowed out of the house from like 10 a.m. to like 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And locked indoors the rest of the time.
Right.
That's
your platform.
Harsh but fair.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree. So yeah, a few years into his mayordom, Duterte, basically for the first close to a decade, he's a harsh mayor and institutes strict policies against petty crime, but he doesn't really seem to have a huge amount of focus on the drug war on the radar. This becomes more of a thing in the mid-90s, and especially by the late 90s, 1998. He really starts to ramp up persecution of drug users and drug pushers. And in fact, a few years into his mayordom in the mid-90s, Duterte established what's now known as the Davao Death Squad, which exists and existed to murder criminals. Quote, during the 7 terms of Mayor Duterte, the bodies of hundreds of street kids and petty criminals, as well as addicts and dealers of crystal meth, or shabu, as it is known in the Philippines, were found dumped in Davao's back streets. Often their corpses were discovered with their faces wrapped in masking tape. Their hands were tied, and handwritten signs were hung around their necks. Addict, pusher, thief. The people of Davao City came to realize that these murders would all remain unsolved. So, again, it's hard to say exactly when the Davao Death Squad became active. By 1997, they were tied to around 65 deaths. By 2015, they would be tied to well over 1,000 deaths.
Jesus. Was that their official title? Like, did he call them the Davao Death Squad?
Everyone called them the Davao
cool.
Death Squad. He would usually call them vigilantes. Unknown vigilante killers is usually how these guys are officially known to.
Right.
So he would, And most of these victims were killed. Their signature weapon was a .45 caliber handgun, which was, interestingly enough, the .45 ACP handgun, the Colt 1911, that was used by the U.S. from like World War I, World War II, up until almost the modern day. Like, I think in the 80s is when they switched over. That was developed for the Philippines, because before that they were using a smaller bullet, and Filipino warriors were essentially so imposing that like they felt like it didn't have enough stopping powers. They needed a bigger round to clamp down on the insurgency. So the .45 has a real significant reputation in the Philippines, and it has become now the gun of the mayor's death squad in Davao City. So, interesting little bit of history there. So officially the murders committed by the Davao Death Squad were the work of unknown vigilante killers, but the actual work was often done by off-duty police officers at the direct urging of Mayor Duterte. Several of these killers have now come forward to confirm that Duterte organized the Davao Death Squad. Rodrigo himself denies this sometimes. On the TV show he hosted while mayor, also he hosted a television show while mayor called On the Masses, he stated, quote, "They say I am the Death Squad? True, that is true." So he's gone on to deny that again since, and basically said, no, I was saying they say that I'm the Death Squad, and it's true that they say it, but I'm not the Death. You have a death squad.
Okay.
You have a death squad.
You have a death squad.
You have a death squad.
And he wants to brag about it so badly, too. You know, like, how much does he love having a death squad?
I mean, who wouldn't want a death squad?
Yes.
I would love a death squad.
It would be incredible. Just to handle neighbors.
Yeah, neighbors.
And drug addicts.
People who drive too slow or too fast.
Right,
you
right.
know? Mostly those groups. Yeah.
This goes without saying, but it is very interesting that his hatred for drug addicts and thieves goes way beyond his hatred for murdering. Like, he loves murder, but hates, which on the crime scale is obviously generally above
Most of us would
drugs.
say, yeah.
It's very interesting. Where it's like, no, being dead is more noble than wasting the time that you're alive by being addicted to drugs.
Yeah, and for a
having
guy
an illness.
who has rejected religion so thoroughly, that's a weirdly, like, almost fundamentalist religious sort of attitude to take towards drug use, which is interesting to me.
Very interesting.
I will say, if I had a death squad, I know who I would target first. And so I go running in a couple
and
of
we'll be right
neighborhoods.
back. We're going to have that for you in a moment. No, I'm just kidding. That's not my job.
Well, I there's a couple of neighborhoods I like to run in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And one of them, the speed limit in the neighborhood is 30 miles an hour. But people have put out signs that say, my kids live here, don't drive over 20.
With that yellow fucking thing
it's
with
like,
the flag.
you don't get to make the speed limits just because you've got to. That's who I'd target. People trying to make the speed limits. All right.
That sucks.
I know. It's just so obnoxious.
What a rich person thing, too.
You don't get to make that choice. Anyway, we'll be back not talking about people we want to have murdered by death squads.
Mm-hmm. But maybe.
But maybe.
We may not be done with that.
But maybe. But I can guarantee who doesn't use death squads is the people who support this podcast with advertising. No death squads are related to the operation of this podcast or its sponsors.
And we should have mentioned that earlier.
We should have mentioned that earlier. 0 death squads, maybe one eventually. All right, here's some ads.
For period protection you can put on and forget about, nothing beats Knix leak-proof underwear. North America's #1 leak-proof underwear brand. Let's face it, life can be unpredictable, but your leak-proof underwear shouldn't be. That's why millions of people choose Knix. For periods, for light leaks, for everyday freshness. Knix undies are super comfy, super absorbent, and made to handle whatever your day throws at you. Day 2 of your period? Covered. Your daily run? No problem. That big sneeze? You know the one. Yep, we've got you. And with styles like bikinis, boy shorts, thongs, and high-rise, plus sizes from extra small to 4XL, Knix makes it easy to find your perfect fit. Say goodbye to stress and leaks, and say hello to undies that work just as hard as you do, no matter the leak. Find the style and level of protection you want at Knix.com and use code FLOW15 for 15% off. That's KNIX.com, code FLOW15 for 15% off. Knix, for your leaks, for your life.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Let me be blunt. Most dog food is junk. It just is. And I'm not feeding junk to Biggie and Smalls. That is why they eat Just Food for Dogs. It's real, 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize, not mystery pellets pretending to be healthy. And once I switched, the difference was obvious. Better digestion, better skin, more energy, dogs who actually feel good instead of just surviving dinner. Here's the thing. You care about quality. You make an intentional choice to be healthy. So why are you gambling with your dog's health? So let's think about our furry babies. Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code, just try it. Because once you see the difference, you're not going back.
Kids, pets, life, your sofa sees it all. But with a washable sofa, stains don't stand a chance. All of our sofa collections come with fully machine washable covers and cushions, making cleanup effortless. Liquid and stain-resistant fabrics provide extra protection against everyday messes. Plus, with modular designs, you can rearrange your sofa however you like. Perfect for growing families and changing spaces. Starting at just $699, it's time to upgrade to a stress-free, mess-proof sofa. Visit washablesofas.com today and save. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
And we're back. We are talking about the fact that my producer Sophie had a 70-year-old Catholic priest teach her how to use her phone, which...
From the Philippines.
From the Philippines.
That's how it came up.
Which is fascinating. Mm-hmm. She's shaking her head. We're not going to correct this. Repair your phone. Even more incredible. What a strange thing for a priest to know how to do.
His business is called You Broke It, He Fixed It, and he is capitalized, obviously.
So, obviously, the main subject of this podcast is Rodrigo Duterte. And as we've gotten to this, he's become the mayor, and he's kind of, sort of, definitely started a death squad. So in 1998, which is the year that the death squad really ramps up its death squadding, Rodrigo's wife, Elizabeth, asks for an annulment of their marriage. Now, this is interesting because you can't get divorced in the Philippines. The Philippines is actually one of two nations on the planet. The other is the Vatican, where divorce is illegal. So again, very Catholic.
Yes.
This will become more remarkable later because Duterte... I'll give it to him. He doesn't give a fuck what people think about him. He's quite a fellow. So during this annulment, a clinical psychologist was asked to analyze Mayor Rodrigo Duterte. She wrote, quote, "He is suffering from a narcissistic personality disorder with aggressive features. These features included, quote, his gross indifference, insensitivity, and self-centeredness, his grandiose sense of self and entitlement, his manipulative behaviors, his lies and his deceits, as well as his pervasive tendency to demean, humiliate others, and violate their rights and feelings." So, this is a clinical psychologist analyzing the mayor of Davao. Narcissistic personality disorder, which our regular listeners will notice. Alex Jones, who we just did a big episode on, was also diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder.
All your guests probably as well. I think we all probably have it.
It's probably like 60% of Los Angeles, California. Yeah.
Right.
So, some of Mayor Duterte's most celebrated moments are clear evidence of all of these things. His tendency to demean, humiliate, and violate other people's rights. One of his signature efforts as mayor was an anti-smoking campaign meant to wipe cigarettes off the streets. Sounds fine, right? Yeah, cigarettes, bad. You should.
So that's probably the end of it, right? The end of really possible.
Probably the end of it. Yeah. Nothing ridiculous ever happened.
No, of course not.
Well, during this time, one of the most popular stories from Mayor Duterte's reign is that he spotted a tourist smoking outside. He confronted the man, and the tourist refused to put out his cigarette. So Duterte, quote, pulled out a snub-nosed .38 revolver and poked it at the man's crotch. He said, "I'll give you these choices. I'll shoot your balls, send you to jail, or you eat your cigarette butt." The tourist is said to have apologized before swallowing the cigarette butt. Stories like this, whether or not they're true, are part of how Rodrigo earned the nickname Duterte Harry. Because like Dirty Harry.
Oh, I like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Philippines, obviously, we owned them for a long time. There's a mix of resentment because we did a lot of fucked up things to the Philippines, but also really deep love of American pop culture and music and stuff like that. So people get a Dirty Harry reference. Anyway.
Funny. They do.
Yeah. Now... It is worth noting that there's some debate over the true nature of this story, because when questioned about it, Duterte's spokesman said that, quote, as far as he knew, the mayor had never pointed a revolver at anyone. Although he did specify a revolver, which...
Right.
That's interesting.
Right, yeah.
But
he didn't even say pistol. He said a very specific type of handgun.
It's also worth noting, and a little bit familiar to our own politics, that the same night his spokesman said that this story was bullshit, Duterte turned up on television to confirm the anecdote and add that he had told the tourist, "I will make both your balls explode." So that's from the mayor, now president's mouth.
He punched it up. He's like, no, I didn't just say that.
I told him I'm going to blow his balls up if he doesn't eat a cigarette.
Let me add some imagery for you.
There are a lot of stories like this, according to Fire and Fury in the Philippines. Quote, and then there is the case of a man who was caught selling fake land titles. Duterte forced him to eat them in front of TV cameras. Reporters remember him instructing the cameraman to zoom in on him chewing. So...
Jesus.
He's a character.
Yeah.
You can see why this guy got really popular, because that's the kind of stories people love about a political figure, is them being like, he's not just being tough, he's like, oh, this tourist came in and thinks he can smoke in our city on the street and throw it as cigarette butts. No, the mayor's going to make him eat it.
They're going to make him eat it, and they made the other guy eat his land. Like, it's very obsessed with making people eat their crimes.
Yeah,
you know?
devour your crimes.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal if you sell, like, a stolen pizza. You know, it's like, oh, I made him eat his pizza. Oh, fuck. It was not that big of a deal.
Be a pizza thief in Davao City. That's the smart money.
That is the smart money.
In 2001, Rodrigo Duterte got on local television and read out the names of 500 people on his watch list. Cash rewards were offered to citizens who could provide information on drug labs or dealers. A few days after this, he sat down for an interview and was asked how he felt about being called the godfather of the Davao death squad. He replied, quote, "I don't give a damn. I don't give a shit. What I should do now is honor my commitment. To be really truthful and honest about it, I would rather see criminals dead than innocent victims die, being killed senselessly." Now, when he said those words, 4 of the people on his list had already been murdered. 17 more died before the article was published. The victims were all either drug dealers or mobile phone pickpockets. 4 were children. In less than 3 weeks, 26 people on the list had been killed, including, quote, marketplace vendors, construction workers, a housewife, and 2 members of a leftist political party. Now, in 2003, June Paula, a shock jock radio guy in Davao City, made fun of Rodrigo's son Paulo for beating up a hotel security guard. He repeated persistent rumors that Paulo was addicted himself to crystal meth. This pissed Rodrigo Duterte off, and in September of that year, June Paula was ambushed and gunned down in the streets. His murder is officially unsolved. Although in February of 2017, Arturo Las Cañas confessed to having been a leading member of the Davao death squad and claimed under oath that he'd been paid $20,000 to murder this guy. So,
well, he's making jobs.
He's making jobs.
He's a job creator.
Job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Las Cañas is able to feed his family off of the money he got murdering the radio personality for making fun of the fact that Rodrigo's son beat up a guy at a hotel.
Amazing. Amazing.
Jesus. He's quite the man.
Yeah.
So in Rodrigo's last year as mayor, he was nominated for the World Mayor Award, something that apparently exists.
Which is the opposite of local government, which is what a mayor is. The executive of a World Mayor Award.
Well, he's
the
worst
worst
mayor
award
in the
show.
world.
Yeah, I'm the best mayor in the world. What are you talking about?
I maybe like twice in my life have known the mayor of wherever it is I happen to live.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I knew it for a while in LA is because in the fucking elevators, you've got the mayor's name on like the little, like the thing. And so it's like, oh, okay. Like,
it's the worst when it's the previous mayor and it's like, good God. I'm in a
good God. Schwarzenegger, how old is this
shit? Ring the bell. It doesn't work.
Oh, boy. Yeah. So he was nominated for the World Mayor Award. He turned down the nomination, saying of his time in office, "I did it not for my own glory, but because that was what the people expected me to do." So that's some humility right there.
But the World Murder Award, he happily accepted and won.
He earned that World Murder Award. And it's an objective thing.
Yeah, of course.
It was all but a foregone conclusion that Rodrigo Duterte would run for president of the Philippines in 2016. 8 months before he announced his candidacy, he did an interview with Esquire Philippines. In it, he claimed to have first killed a man when he was 17 by maybe stabbing him to death in a drunken beach brawl. But
maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Because he was drunk.
Right. Yeah, who knows?
He self-admitted he was drunk when he probably stabbed a guy to death.
Right.
Yeah. He did add, "I have never in my life killed an innocent person." So he was just saying, like, anyone I get into a drunken beach brawl with has it fucking coming. I'll tell you that much.
Who fights at the beach? You know?
The
Aren't
fucking
you tired?
mayor of Davao City.
And now president.
So, from 1998 to 2015, the Davao Death Squad killed more than 1,400 people by some estimates, including roughly 130 children. Other estimates will say just like 1,000, 1,100. It's unclear the exact number, but somewhere between 1,000 and 1,400 is probably pretty fair for 1998 to 2015.
Also, a pat on the back to us for stopping the children age bit that we've been doing throughout the...
I know.
Because the amount of self-discipline I've had to exercise to not keep that going is a lot.
It is one of those things when you read old books that gives you a real insight into how different things were, was like what they included a child. Because like in Germany in the 1800s, it was like, you're 12, you're old enough to work. Like, get a job.
Or if they're talking about like a woman from like, like back in that time. It was like, and she was eventually married at the age of 13.
Oh, it's sad when it takes that long.
Yeah, she was out to pasture, but then
real spinster, 14 years old.
Real spinster.
She's got another 4?
Yeah, at most.
Yeah. Oh boy, history's just a pile of nightmares wrapped up in a burrito.
Pile of shit.
Yeah. Las Cañas, the hitman who later confessed to being one of the Davao Death Squad's leaders, says that his extra murdering money came from the combined wages of 10 to 12 ghost employees, which are fake government employees who existed just as money funnels for the mayor's murder team. The salaries for countless ghost workers had been pooled into the mayor's intelligence fund, which had paid for all of the murders. So, this is, in case you were wondering, fiscally, how does this death squad work out? There's a lot of data on. It was
very responsible.
It was a very fiscally responsible death squad.
Right.
They've got receipts.
They do.
Which is critical with a death squad.
Which is rare.
This is what people got onto the Nazis for, not enough receipts. And now that's untrue. The Nazis were great at receipts.
I'm sure they were diligent.
They were really, really good at receipts. So Las Cañas claimed to have been paid between $400 and $2,000 per execution, depending on the status of the target. It's got to be a bummer if you and your friend get hit and he's at $2,000. It's like,
my God!
Come on.
I know. That would hurt more than the death.
Yeah.
I don't think my ego could take that.
No. You just don't want to even ask.
Right.
Las Cañas also received a $2,000 monthly allowance that went on top of his police salary. The money was paid by Sonny Buenaventura, the mayor's bodyguard. Las Cañas claims, quote, Duterte's office supplied everything: cars, guns, ammo, food, and money. His hitmen were a mix of former Communist Party, NPA assassins, along with, Duterte is kind of a leftist.
Oh, I'm sorry. I confused him with the other guy, the previous. Never mind.
Yeah. No, it is a little bit and it's not even fair to call him a leftist. He definitely has come to power as a socialist, but he's also more of a Dutertist than anything else. He's
tough to classify other than who he is, right?
But his hitmen were a mix of former Communist Party assassins, along with police officers, and of course, run-of-the-mill contract killers. Here's another quote from Fire and Fury in the Philippines. The former NPA killers targeted glue sniffers and alleged petty thieves, while the police and their contractors went after bigger fish, kidnappers and drug lords. Las Cañas also confirmed the use of the Loud Quarry as an execution ground, and when questioned, said he could point to burial sites. These included those of an entire family killed with a silenced .22 caliber pistol, a suspected kidnapper, his Muslim convert wife who was 7 months pregnant, their 4-year-old son, her 70-year-old father, an elderly male relative, and the family maid. Having abducted them from a neighboring town, the Davao Death Squad held them for hours in a building inside the quarry before their executions. The personal belongings were removed and burned, including their wife's Quran, he said, adding that the bodies were then stripped and buried. So
their boy was spared.
No, because they fucking killed the maid and the 4-year-old.
Yeah,
they're not going to spare the boy.
They would kill the boy, which is a shame.
It's a double tragedy because that means this family didn't have a boy.
Yes. So that's what we should take away from this.
That's what we should take away from it.
A classic double tragedy situation.
Oh, boy.
Gotcha. You got yourself.
Yeah, I didn't expect this to be so focused on the boy, but...
Well, you booked the wrong person. That was...
So, Las Cañas testified about all of this in 2017 when Duterte was actually president. It didn't have a huge impact on his popularity as president, and it possible that it wouldn't have made any difference at all if it had come out during the election itself. Part of Rodrigo's appeal was that he's Duterte Harry. He's the violent son of a bitch who doesn't play by the rules but gets results. His detractors could point to an enormous pile of corpses, but all Duterte had to say is, "Look at Davao. I cleaned up one of the biggest cities in the Philippines." And this is where it gets kind of tricky, because it is true that overall crime has plummeted in Davao City and across the island of Mindanao. This may not be due to Duterte. The crime rate rose by 248% from 1999 to 2008. Most of that was during his second term as mayor. And while Davao City has seen massive drops in crime in the last couple of years, it remains the murder capital of the Philippines. Its overall murder rate is 4th in the nation, so Davao is by no means the most dangerous city in the country, but it certainly is not an oasis of peace. So basically, they've traded in less other crime, way more murder. That's what you get with Rodrigo Duterte.
Yes.
Less stolen cell phones, more people gunned down on the street.
Right. Well, the less people there are, the less
crime there is.
Yeah, crime.
Exactly.
Whether they're committing crime, they can't be crimed upon because they're dead. So even innocent people.
It's a double victory there.
Right.
That's efficient.
Yeah.
So On November 21st, 2015, Rodrigo Duterte announced that he was running to be president of the Philippines. He called himself a socialist, but ideology was not really his focus. Duterte ran as a populist who promised to take out the bad guys and be a tough guy, badass president. Tough ass.
I like that.
Tough ass president.
A tough ass son of a bitch.
I am your last card, he told a group of supporters at a rally. I promise you I will get down and dirty just to get things done. All of you who are into drugs, you sons of bitches, I will really kill you. I have no patience. I have no middle ground. Either you kill me or I will kill you idiots. So, one thing you can say for Rodrigo Duterte is that he was always remarkably honest with what his reign would bring to the Philippines.
He does sound like a drunk person at a bar, like about to get in a fight. Like, I'll fucking kill you. Yeah, you kill me first, you idiots. You know, because you don't come up with the most intelligent insult when you're in the moment, like about to be in a fight, I'd imagine.
He's like a drunk guy in a fight with you, but trying to get you to vote for him.
Yeah,
yeah,
right. But also, he's handing the ballot over to you.
I'm gonna fucking kill some people.
Yeah.
Vote for me.
Just right there, if you mark right there.
Yeah. While campaigning, he would regularly lament the drug-dealing sons of whores who are destroying our children. He promised to make the fish in Manila Bay fat with their flesh. While most politicians in a democratic country run on promises of how they can improve lives and protect people, Duterte offered something else. He may be the only politician to ever say, God will weep if I become president.
Amazing.
Yeah. He is...
Not a liar.
Not a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not a liar. He promised to make God cry with the amount of corpse. He promised to fill the morgues.
Yeah.
Like, that's a bold promise to make as
a
presidential
fill
candidate.
The morgues.
There will be so many more corpses.
Right.
When I become president.
And by sons of whores, he meant popes, by the way, when he said that. That's just his word for pope.
Yeah, that's just his word for pope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's part one. Rodrigo Duterte, the mayor of Murdertown. Part two will, of course, be Rodrigo Duterte, president of the Philippines. Which
nice.
I'm proud of.
Yes.
Yeah. That really all came together.
Of course, seamlessly.
Yeah. So, you want to plug your pluggables?
Oh, yeah, please. Stuffed Boy, actually, which is my newest album on iTunes. My first album was up there, too, the Blake album. And then there's another album I released with comedian Todd Glass where I saved voicemails from him for 12 years. And we released it as an album. It's called 12 Years of Voicemails from Todd Glass to Blake Wexler. So,
Speaking of honesty.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
And then BlakeWexler.com.
Cool. BlakeWexler.com. I am Robert Evans. You can find me on Twitter at IWriteOK. You can find this podcast on the internet at BehindTheBastards.com. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at @BastardsPod. And we sell T-shirts on TeePublic. So look up TeePublic, Behind the Bastards. A lot of great T-shirts, including a lot of great Doritos-themed T-shirts. Doritos Not Dictators. Nachos Not Nazis. Buy them. You support the show. Money goes to me. And also, you get a pretty cool shirt out of the deal. So it's great. Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it for us for now. We're going to get into part two about Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday. So please tune back in then. Although you don't have to tune anything because this is not old-time radio. You just do whatever you want. Just download us. Listen to us when you're, at the kickboxing gym. Boxing and kicking and whatever it is. It's over. The episode's over now. Bye. I love about 40% of you.
A BetterHelp ad. We get it. February is full of flowers, candy, and, of course, lots of talk about relationships. It can feel like everyone else has it all together in their love lives. But the truth is, we're all still figuring it out. Whether you're working on your marriage, navigating the dating apps, or prioritizing staying single, no matter where you are, you're right on time. Therapy can help you find your way and take some of the pressure off yourself so you can determine what you want, what feels heavy, and how you can feel lighter. Just a little bit of outside perspective from a professional can lead to new understanding and a lot of progress. So the next time you're feeling iffy about your love life, try therapy with BetterHelp and see where it takes you. And remember, you're right on time. Visit BetterHelp.com for 10% off. That's BetterHelp.com.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Let me be blunt. Most dog food is junk. It just is. And I'm not feeding junk to Biggie and Smalls. That is why they eat Just Food for Dogs. It's real, 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize, not mystery pellets pretending to be healthy. And once I switched, the difference was obvious. Better digestion, better skin, more energy, dogs who actually feel good instead of just surviving dinner. Here's the thing. You care about quality. You make an intentional choice to be healthy. So why are you gambling with your dog's health? So let's think about our furry babies. Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code, just try it. Because once you see the difference, you're not going back.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly prices. That's right, sofas start at just $699. Enjoy a no-risk experience with pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and changeable slip covers made with performance fabric. Experience cloud-like comfort with high-resilience foam that's hypoallergenic and never needs fluffing. The sturdy steel frame ensures longevity, and the modular pieces can be rearranged anytime. Shop WashableSofas.com for up to 60% off site-wide, backed by a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not absolutely in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping or restocking fees. Every penny back. Upgrade now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation. One-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.